fireplaces. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such...
And it's Thierry Henry. And Henry is magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. And when you need a goal, you need Thierry Henry.
Suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp. That's magnificent.
So, good evening, everyone. Basically, I wasn't going to do this season for quite a while, but I've had so many requests to talk about my experience of that season, what an iconic season it was, what happened, how we got there. And so I thought, okay, let's do it, and let's do it now. But first of all, before I start, massive shout out to young man Connor. He's got his own website, CMO. He did that video and some other graphics for me. Absolutely brilliant job. I can't thank him enough. So Connor, well done, mate. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video, because he put a lot of work into that. Secondly, massive thanks again to Gracie again tonight for helping me out, because I couldn't find the bloody video, because I had to actually download it to the iMac, and she helped me out there, as did Connor offered to help. So please go and give Gracie May's channel massive subs, and Connor at CMO. Brilliant. And also one of my favourites in Warren's Team Talk, amazing channel. That guy's content with his amazing information he puts up. I don't know how you do it, mate. I really don't, but well done to you. Yeah, so if you actually anybody needs any of this sort of content for their shows, go and find Connor at CMO. It's amazing. He's a great young man and does amazing work. Also, give a big shout out to Del Boy. I'll be back on his show on Friday night with Warren to finish off the season we were talking about last week. And let's get into it. So, the 88-89 season, this is my personal experience. So, the year before, 87-88, Arsenal finished in 6th position, having won 18 games, drawn 12, lost 10, scoring 58 goals, conceding 39, and ending up on 66 points. Now, in that year, Alan Smith made his debut, along with Kevin Richardson, who played a major part in this season, in the 88-89 season. Lee Dixon, Brian Marwood, and of course Kevin Campbell. This season saw Arsenal go back to defending the League Cup, and they went back to Wembley and they cruised to get to that final, to be fair. But unfortunately, they lost 3-1 to Luton Town and gifted Luton Town their first major trophy. So, you know, typical Arsenal, really. So the 88-89 iconic season starts. And Arsenal, first game is away at Wimbledon, down at the old Plough Lane. And Arsenal start the massive start, winning 5-1. Alan Smith grabbed a hat-trick. Paul Merson and Steve Marwood being the other two scorers. And the old ground at Plough Lane was a tricky place to go and play, to be fair. It was a small ground, it was tight, amazing support was down there. And to win 5-1, first game of the season was A real feature, actually, to be fair. Now, the next game in the league was at Highbury, home to Aston Villa, and Arsenal lose 3-2. Not a great start at home, let's be fair. So Arsenal's next away game is third game of the season, quite early in the season to have a North London derby. And Arsenal go there and win 3-2. It was a hell of a day. The atmosphere was unreal. There was not a lot of grief that day. And the scorers that day were Winterburn, Smith and Marwood. Both teams' goals were all in the first half. And so the second half was actually a bit of a dull affair, to be fair. So a great start at a North London derby early on in the season for Arsenal. And Arsenal then play at home to Southampton. And after being 2-0 down at half-time, managed to drag it back to a 2-2 draw. With, again, Smith getting the back to 2-1. And Brian Marwood scores the penalty in very late in the game that gets us to a 2-2 draw. So Arsenal then go away to Sheffield Wednesday, which we will all come to hear about more later in the show. And they lose again, 2-1. So it's been a bit of a shaky old start for Arsenal. And, you know, George Graham at this point in time is not a very happy man. So the Football League starts. Football League Cup starts. And Arsenal play Hull City away, winning 2-1. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been to Hull City, but their fans are quite relentless. And I remember going up there for that game, and on every street corner, driving through Hull City, there was bands of fans. Absolutely giving Arsenal fans hell. It was actually a pretty scary day out, I can honestly tell you. Anyway, Arsenal got there. They win 2-1. The next league game is away to West Ham, when Arsenal come with a resounding 4-1 win. Now, back in the day at Upton Park, winning 4-1 there was a major result, to be fair. And notable players that day were Michael Thomas, David Rocastle, Rocky Rocastle, Alan Smith were on the score sheet. And then Arsenal go on a 6-game unbeaten run in the league. Notable result away to Nottingham Forest. They get a 4-1 win with Steve Bold, Tony Adams, two of our iconic defenders back in time. Alan Smith again, and Brian Marwood again scoring goals. So getting the goals. Alan Smith, you know, had in the previous season been a prolific goal scorer. And it was a fact that he was almost, I think, in my opinion, more of a fox in the box at this time than Ian Wright was when he joined from Crystal Palace in 91. So Arsenal move on, and we then go on to beat Middlesbrough 3-0 at Highbury. And scorers that day are Rocastle, Mark Merson, who scores 2 goals. Now, Paul Merson went on many years after become an absolutely iconic player for Arsenal. And In amongst those games, Arsenal play the home leg against Hull City and in the Football League Cup and win 3-0. So, you know, Arsenal in their first cup of the season have done well. Now, we go on. And Arsenal also play Liverpool in the FA Cup at Highbury, which ended up in a 0-0 draw. And that day, I can assure you, was an absolutely amazing day. It was like being packed into a tin of sardines. It was the biggest crowd of the season, 54,029 people in that stadium. The North Bank was really to the point of bursting. And this brings on to something later on that comes to light, that the way fans back then were packed in so tightly, it was at times scary, to be fair. It was scary. And so this game is drawn, and the home leg at Anfield is a draw again, 1-1. So in the replay of the game at Villa Park, Arsenal lose 2-1 with Paul Merson being the scorer. Now, we have to remember that Liverpool at this point in time were an extraordinary team, incredible team with what they've achieved. And, you know, they are looking very good in the league. Arsenal are looking a little bit wishy-washy. And so everybody's eyes are on Liverpool to win another league. So we go to a couple of comments. And cheers for the shout outs, cheers, mate. Honestly, Connor, mate, you are an absolute legend for what you've done. Brilliant. And as I said, anybody who wants graphics done for their channels, go and speak to this young man, because what he's done, I think, is quite incredible. I wouldn't have a clue. I'll be honest. I wouldn't have a clue. And so, Warren, yeah, at least 6,000 were locked out for this Liverpool match. The ground was bursting. It was just madness. It was absolutely madness. And I've been to some big games at Highbury, but that day, man. Big Josh, hello, mate. How are you? Hope you're well. Mike, yeah, would have no Europe this season, even without Heysel. Yeah. That's absolutely true. That was a tragic day as well, wasn't it? So Arsenal now out of the Football League Cup, and we move on in the fact that I'm just looking at a couple of comments. So after the win against Middlesbrough, Arsenal then lose 2-1 away to Derby County at the baseball ground. So again, you know, Arsenal aren't really doing great, are they? But what happens later is quite amazing. The next game in the league is at home to Liverpool, which finishes 1-1 with Smith scoring the goal for Arsenal. Now, the interesting fact is Arsenal have recently played Liverpool in the Football League Club, but this game at home only gets 31,363 reported fans. I find that quite strange, considering, I mean, I was at the game and I do remember it was nothing like the Football League game. It wasn't like you were hemmed in and you can hardly move and all that. So next game away, God, I remember this one, was away to Norwich at Cairo Road. It was a 0-0 absolute bore fest. I've seen some bad games, but by God, that was shocking. if I remember the stats right, both teams had one attempt, and I don't think even them were on target. It was an awful game. It was so boring that you literally could have fallen asleep. It was awful. It was terrible. So back at Highbury, Arsenal now host Man United. Now, Man United at this point weren't anywhere near the team that they were going to come on to be in the 90s. And Arsenal run out 2-1 in a very close game. It was nip and tuck. Arsenal didn't play great that day. But Thomas and Merson got the goals. I can't remember who scored for Manchester United, to be fair. So Arsenal played Charlton Athletic away on Boxing Day, and they win 3-2. And down at the Valley at the time, it wasn't a great ground, but the wind used to howl through that place. You wouldn't believe. And it was bitterly cold. There was snow flurries, heavy snow flurries. And it was one of them games you just wanted over in 30 minutes so you could sod off out and get home. It was awful. But, walked away with that. So, we moved on. On New Year's Eve, Arsenal get revenge on Aston Villa at Villa Park, winning 3-0. With Perry Groves get his first goal of the season after he came on as a substitution for Alan Smith, who I think I'm correct in saying picked up a minor thigh strain. So we now enter 1989. And the day after New Year's Day, Arsenal again faced Tottenham in the North London derby. And it's quite strange back then. A lot of derbies for many cities used to be held around Christmas time, New Year, because it meant fans didn't have to travel so far. And because of the problems back in the day with trains, which, let's be honest, hasn't really changed, has it? So they used to try and keep the derbies in close-knit at those times of year. So it's New Year's day after New Year's Day. Arsenal are at Highbury facing Tottenham, and they win 2-0 with Michael Thomas, Paul Merson both scoring the goals. It was another busy day at Highbury with 45,000 odd fans there. And again, it was a pretty packed out crowd. That day, there was a bit of trouble outside of the clock ends, where predominantly the Spurs fans were. And there was a lot of vandalism done around that part of the grounds. Cars, etc., were done over. And yeah, it was a bit of a sad day, to be fair. But Arsenal get a win. So the FA Cup starts. And Arsenal enter the third round, and we go down to Upton Park, and it's a 2-2 draw. And the replay back at Highbury, we end up losing 1-0 to West Ham. So that's the end of our FA Cup season. Bit like this year when we went up to Nottingham Forest, but disappointing start. So Arsenal then go on a 5-game unbeaten run. Notably, game in that was beating Everton 3-1 with Kevin Richardson, Smith and Merson scoring. So after the win, we went up to Everton, and I love Goodison Park. I don't know, there's something about Goodison Park. I think it's just a crazy old ground, really. It's old. It's downtrodden. I like it. It's something back in the day. It had something about it. But anyway, we got up there and we beat them 3-1 with Kevin Richardson, Smith and Merson scoring. And so after the win at Everton, Arsenal go on another 4-match unbeaten win and then lose away at Coventry City, which back in them days, Arsenal seemed to have this thing about Coventry City. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't until later this season that things changed with Coventry City. So Arsenal basically have been nothing but inconsistent during this actual campaign and suffer a bad home defeat to Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest have started to move up the league, and they're back in mid-80s. We were a top side, and we lose 3-1. Alan Smith being the only scorer, and then we draw 2-2 at Highbury to Charlton Athletic. I mean, Charlton Athletic at this point are pretty low down in the league. And I remember being at Highbury and fans were chatting and talking, and there was let's get it right. There was a lot of discontent that things weren't going right at Arsenal, and the fan base wasn't happy. Really wasn't happy that there were such inconsistencies. And George Graham, being the iconic Arsenal player that he was desperately trying to get the fans back on his side. And there was also problems in the club with there's some proper bad discipline going down. So George Graham needed to sort this out. And I remember watching a video where he made the classic statement of, leave the fans to me, I will sort it, you go and play. Now, after that draw with Charlton Athletic, Arsenal go away and beat Southampton 3-1. And away at Old Trafford, the game ends in a 1-1 draw. The next game sees Arsenal beating Everton at Highbury 2-0 with Lee Dixon and Niall Quinn both scoring. So both defenders scored goals. Then the fateful day, 15th of April 1989 arrives. I'm sure there's many of you out there that will remember this. Arsenal are at home to Newcastle United when news starts to come around the grounds that there are problems at Hillsborough, where Liverpool and Nottingham Forest are playing the FA Cup semi-final. The initial reports of crowd trouble, and apparently it's very serious crowd trouble. And the news is coming around that a lot of people are injured and there are, sadly, people dead. Now, the game with Newcastle ends up with a 1-0 win to Arsenal. Brian Marwood being the scorer. Now, whether the players heard the news and were affected by it, I don't know. Who knows? But the second half was a quite somber game. The players seemed to not be fully committed. And the crowd at Highbury was also had gone down. And the crowd seemed quite hushed as well. But we'll get back. Let's go through some comments. Craig Malloy, David Rocky Rocastle, what a footballer he was. Yeah, mate, he was a brilliant footballer. Brilliant footballer. Kyle Walsh, good to see you, man. Jez, my favourite player in that squad was David Rocky Rocastle. Well, yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant player. Big up, Jez. Love you, man. Yeah, and you. Love you too, man. You're always supportive, and thank you, mate. And while we're on it, smash those likes up. Give us a sub if you're new. Appreciate the support. Trying to get some good content out there. As I said, I never intended doing this chat, this particular talk about Arsenal until a long time in the future. But I had so many requests from people where I've talked about it on Del Boy's channel, Lee Gunners, Diesels. So I just thought, right, let's just do it. I'll give you my perspective, my personal experiences of the season, the games that I went to that year, and how it all progressed and moved on from there. So, Mike, Goods Away fans used to go in that tiny terrace behind the goal, if I remember. Yeah, they did, yeah. I think, yeah, you're talking about the clock end. Yeah, up in the bottom. Well, if you're looking from the north bank, it was the left. Yeah. But wasn't Alan Smith Arsenal top goal scorer that season? He was, mate, and he was the season after. So, yeah. I think this season he ended up with 32 goals, I believe. So, Jirina, good to see you, man. I already subscribed on this account and on my second account. Top man. Thank you very much. Warren, that was a horrible day. Absolutely horrific. Yes, I believe you were at the ground as well, mate, were you? You were at the Newcastle game. Sorry. Yeah, that was a terrible day. Terrible day. Taib, good to see you, mate. Hi, Jiz. How are you, my friend? Very well. Very well. So, let's move on with what's occurred. So, after the game, going home, obviously this horrific, what was going on at Hillsborough is awful. And on the news, it soon becomes apparent that it was nothing to do with football violence or anything like that. It was just not clear at the time, but all over the news, you can see terrible things. The game at Hillsborough is abandoned, quite rightly. And in the news on TV, it shows the awful, terrible, shocking scenes. I'll never forget it. I'll never, ever forget seeing those scenes. It's almost as, I mean, it's just as bad as that terrible situation of the that football ground that caught fire. Yeah, I mean, that was, I was watching that game and that was terrible, awful. Yeah, so the TV cameras are reporting on it and showing these poor people getting crushed against the barriers because they'd been erected in the days of all the horrific violence that went on at football games. And you can actually see people dying. And awful. People being crushed against the fences and trampled on, and yeah, it's awful. And 94 people die on that day, and hundreds more. I think it's something like 800 odd people more were injured. Shocking. I remember seeing when they eventually opened the doors of the fences, and fans were using the hoardings as stretchers, and it was just a nightmare. So the game between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest was replayed on the 7th of May. And Liverpool went on to win, and then later went on to win the FA Cup. So Liverpool now had to catch up on their fixtures in the league. Arsenal went on to beat Norwich at Highbury 5-0. And with Winterburn, Michael Thomas, David Rocastle and Alan Smith grabbing 2. Arsenal win against Middlesbrough. They then lose at home to Derby County. They love losing to Derby County. And draw at home to Wimbledon. So, it's not coming to a great end for the season for Arsenal. They've been a bit up and down all the way through. So Liverpool had caught Arsenal. And at one point, Liverpool were 19 points behind. 19 points. But Liverpool, in fairness, didn't play a few games because of what had happened at Hillsborough. And when they caught Arsenal, they were basically the favourites to win. The game to be played, the final game of the season to be played at Anfield, Liverpool had already won the FA Cup. So Liverpool now are on to their second double in, I think, 4 years. So here we go. It's into the last game of the season. And Liverpool are on 76 points. Arsenal are on 74 points. So there's everything to play for. Now, before we go into that, we'll just do a couple of more comments. And yeah, that day the Notts fans pulled down advertising, bought hoardings to use them as stretchers to help the emergency services. Yeah, that's very true, mate. Very, very, very true. Yeah. And that was, I remember watching that live as that happened. That was absolutely shocking. Oh, some of the scenes in that, I remember seeing that guy coming down through the terraces. He's completely on fire. He's got tar in his head. And he died, sadly. Terrible. Yeah. Type, Jez, how did the police or whatever it was, how did they not manage the crowd levels? Well, back then it was not managed very well at all. It really wasn't. I can remember being at games. The game I mentioned earlier with the Liverpool game at Highbury, it was just chaos. Absolute chaos. You were just being pushed in. If you had a ticket, you were just being pushed through and back in them days, the turnstiles. And you walk up onto the terrace and it was absolute madness. It really was. And it was scary, scary times, to be fair. Absolutely scary. Yeah, I don't want to go through any of that again. Paul, I smashed the like. Cheers, man. Thank you. And Jeff P, Hillsborough was Sheffield Wednesday ground, yeah. Then them and Nottingham Forest are big clubs who have never got back to the Premier League. Yeah, sadly, very sad. Nottingham Forest back in time in Division 1 were a massive club, absolutely massive club. When they had Brian Clough, great club. Arsenal were a very good team, 89. Yeah, they were, but they were very, very inconsistent. And that's one of the amazing facts of what happened for them to do what they did. Jude, big up, Jez. Thank you, mate. Nice, lovely to see you here. Quick question. Do you think Kanu qualifies as an Arsenal legend? No. No, sorry. Good player. But no. Warren's team talk, Taib, the police panic, mate. Yeah, they did. I wasn't there. I don't know. But from what I've read and heard, I believe he did. Bermsey, born and bred Alf. 4 murdered round my way in their own flat. Oh my God, madness. Best stay indoors, mate. Big B, big up Jez. When you get Lee going on your shows, yeah, Lee will probably come on, mate, in the summer. He's a very busy man. Yeah, he's got a lot on with his shows and other shows and stuff like that. So I spoke to Lee last night, and he will come on, but it won't be in the summertime when he maybe got a little bit more time. And Kenny Ken may well be on with me this week. Just got to sort it out of him. So anyway, let's move forward. So here we go. It's the last game of the season. And as I said, Liverpool on 76 points. And Arsenal on 74. So for Arsenal to win the league, they have to beat Liverpool by 2 clear goals. Now, this is at a ground, Anfield, that Arsenal had not won at since 1974. Liverpool have not lost by 2 goals at home to anyone for 3 years. So for Arsenal to pull off this task was monumental. So the evening, the 26th of May, 1989 arrives. Now, most of this now is my personal experience of that day, that evening. So the 5-hour journey to Anfield is very tense. You could feel on our hired mini coach, there's 12 of us, the atmosphere was tense. You know, there wasn't the usual banter. It was tough. Everybody's on edge. We're having a few beers, but you know, it wasn't like it normally would be. It wasn't a normal party. So we arrive at Anfield. The Liverpool fans were already celebrating. You could sense it. They knew. They thought, there's no way Arsenal are going to beat Liverpool 2-0 at home. And it was pretty much the atmosphere going around. I think the majority of Arsenal fans weren't in full belief. And I've got to be honest, in my own way, I couldn't see it. It just seemed too much of a task for me. I was nervous. It was just, I couldn't see it happening. But so the Arsenal fans were singing and giving it all our best, but you felt the atmosphere really was a bit downbeat, you know. So on entering the ground, entering Anfield, the noise from the Liverpool fans was unbelievable. It was incredible. I mean, the atmosphere was electric. It really was. It's almost like you could touch it. Where we were in the grounds, you know, even though there was a massive, I think there was something like about 6,000-7,000 Arsenal fans there, it was not as exciting at times as it could have been. So anyway, before we get into the game starting, so we look at a couple more comments. Taib, Jez, when will your channel be getting monetized? Yeah, you got to get certain criteria, mate. You got to get 4,000 hours of viewing time. I think I've done just over 1,100 hours, so it's a way to go. You have to get 1,000 subs to start with as well, so it's going to be a while. And yeah, right. Wimbledon have from them days looked mad. They were bloody mad. They were an absolute mad crew, I'm telling you. It really is. But there you go. Daniel, I believe in miracles. You have just got to have faith in God. Well, yeah, at times you have, mate. Fair play to you. There we go. Taib, Daniel, Jez having his own channel is a miracle. Learning so much, Jez, to be fair. Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for your support. You've always been there. And thank you all. I mean, I can't believe how quickly the channel built. I really can't. Mike says, for me, it was Elton Wellesby and Brian Moore. Yeah, all day. All day, mate. All day. That commentary. All day. What were the wages of the players back then, Jez? I don't know, mate. Honestly, I haven't got a clue. Obviously, I think those players were probably on people like Alan Smith. I don't know, 150 grand, 80 grand a year. I really don't know, mate. Never looked into it. Jeff P, in them days, even some teams, Div 2, Div 3, had a few decent players. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Yeah, they did, mate. Demoka, Jez, love you, the content. Thank you, mate. Thank you. So, the game begins. We're at Anfield. Everybody's nervous. The Liverpool fans are rocking. And basically the game, it's a very nervy first half with Liverpool looking the better team, to be fair. Half-time arrives. There wasn't anything of great importance in the first half. Just going to have a swig. Do you know, you make me laugh. Talking about this like this makes me nervous again from when I was there. I don't know why, but there we are. So the ground is absolutely rocking. The Liverpool fans are going absolutely mental. And the second half starts. Both teams are looking tense. Arsenal are starting to open the game up because they know they've got to go for this. So not a great amount happened until 52 minutes into the game. A free kick on the edge of Liverpool's box. And Nigel Winterton floats a lovely free kick just over onto the left edge of the Liverpool box. And you suddenly see Alan Smudger Smith, his nickname, dips in around the back, nets one low past Bruce Grobbelaar. Now, the Arsenal fans, where we are, go absolutely mental. Nobody at that point could think that this was going to happen. So all of a sudden, Arsenal are 1-0 up. And you think, is this actually going to happen? Could this happen? But again, you know, the Liverpool fans have gone a little bit quiet. The Arsenal fans are now giving it all the big one. So the game continues, and the Arsenal fans have gone levels above and just crazy. I mean, I remember going down 5 steps with like people dancing around and cheering and everything. It was just mad. So time's running out, and the atmosphere is starting to go down. You can tense the nervousness, and oh no, you know, I don't want to win 1-0 and lose the league to a 1-0 win. So the time's got ticking down, and the referee has to give some time out for an injury on Kevin Richardson. So extra time is going to be added on. The clock is still ticking down. Kevin Richardson recovers and goes to tackle John Barnes in the corner, the left-hand corner of the Arsenal end, because John Barnes is obviously trying to waste time. And he nicks the ball off John Barnes, rolls it back to John Lukic. Lukic gets it out to Lee Dixon, who in turn plays a long ball to Alan Smith, straight into his path on a very fast run. He in turn passes the ball to Michael Thomas, who then went one-on-one with Bruce Grobbelaar and chips him. Ball hits the back of the net, and the Arsenal fans, I tell you, I've never in all my days ever been in a reaction like that. It was unbelievable. Talking about, as I said before, in one celebration I went down 5 steps. On this one, I probably went down 8, 9, 10 with a load of other people. I remember ending up in between these two girls who were going absolutely crazy. We were hugging each other, all this, you know, it was just crazy, crazy, crazy times. And I always remember, as it can't, you can see Kenny Dalglish, he was like that, sat in the dugout. The Liverpool players were on their knees, they were done. And Michael Thomas does the classic somersault, and the whole of the Arsenal team are going mental. So Liverpool, Anfield is quiet for the first time in the whole of that match. And the atmosphere for Arsenal fans is unreal. I probably will never, ever experience an atmosphere like that ever again. So Arsenal have gone to Anfield. They've won their first league in 18 years with the most outrageous win to beat Liverpool 2-0 at Anfield, having not beaten them at Anfield since 1974. And they go there as the first team to beat Liverpool 2-0 at home for 3 years. Anyway, before we continue, we just get through some more comments and I'll finish off what I say. Del Boy. Del Boy's here. No, he's gone. Del Boy, love to see you, man. Looking forward to finishing the chat with Warren on Friday. That was great content, mate, last week. Loved it. Let's have this look. Carl Walsh, I totally lost control myself with all the jumping around. I knocked it off the table. My dad was not happy, I tell you. Probably not, mate. Probably not. And white wine with me watching a Highland sunset. Oh, very nice, man. What minute was the first goal scored in? It was the 52nd, mate. If you talk about this game, yeah, it was the 52nd. So, move on. Young Connor, loving it, mate. Yeah, mate, honestly, yeah. Go and give Connor some support, people, honestly. Lovely young man, great stuff. And shout out to Warren's Team Talk and Del Boy's channel and Gracie May. Gracie May, absolute legend to me, because she had to help me out again today because I couldn't work a few things out on StreamYard and fair play. So anyway, Arsenal have won the league at Liverpool, first time in 18 years. And one of the amazing things that I've witnessed of that day was leaving the ground. The Liverpool fans were applauding the Arsenal fans. I have never, ever, ever, ever witnessed that before, apart from once in the Champions League. But that was a different game. Now, we now have a a 5-hour journey back to North London. And our poor driver, who we hired this mini coach with, has got to put up with a load of absolutely going mental 12 Arsenal fans who have got a bucket load of beer and seriously getting on it. And there's some serious stories I could tell you about that on the way home, but probably not the right stream to do it. But it was a great journey, and we got Tony, an absolute legend. Hi, Tone. Glad to see you, man. Yeah, Brian Moore. It's up for grabs now. So we get back to North London, and the scenes around Islington and outside Highbury, well, it was just mental. It was mental. We got back there about 5:30 in the morning, and everybody was out in the streets. It was unbelievable, and the party went on. God knows, I don't know, because the time we got back there, we were pissed anyway, and it was just more and more drink, and it was ridiculous. So there you go. That's my experience of my journey that season, of the games I went to. I went to every game that season in the league, home and away. And it was a journey because Arsenal really weren't that consistent, let's be fair. It was an up and down roller coaster. Liverpool, you have to give them massive credit for the trauma and tragedy that their fans and the team went through with what happened at Hillsborough. You know, I honestly thought when they came back to start playing, they wouldn't be the team that they were. But you've got to hand it to them. It shows resilience, that what they did with winning the FA Cup, getting back from 19 points behind Arsenal to overtake Arsenal by 2 points and have a showdown at the Old K Corral where Arsenal had to come out all blazing. Was it the game too far for Liverpool that season? I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Arsenal were the better team. I don't think they were. I think in the end, it was just Arsenal broke them down mentally because Arsenal weren't giving up. They went there with an attitude that they wanted to win. And George Graham, being the absolutely iconic manager he was, got them right up for it. And they proved it. And they won it. And it's probably the most amazing game of football I've ever witnessed. I mean, being at the 70-71 Cup final against Liverpool was an amazing occasion. But this one was absolutely something unbelievable. It's hard to describe. And I think about it still now, and I could still get emotional about it because it was such an iconic day. But we'll do some more comments. Tony, yeah, Jez didn't. Yeah, they did, mate. They all came out and gave them flowers, which was a nice touch, and that was quite an emotional thing. Was Alan Smith? Yes, mate, he was with 32 goals. Yeah, and Warren, yes, they did, Tony. They were out on the pitch with a bouquet of flowers each. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a nice touch, to be fair. But there we go, people. Do one more from Tone. I remember John Barnes was winking the cop, was celebrating that in that goal. Even as a Chelsea fan, I celebrated. It was incredible. Yeah, it was. It was, man. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this show. As I say, I wasn't going to do this one until a lot later in the season, in the year, but because of the amount of people asking me to do it, I've decided to do it. I will cover it, but not in this depth at some point. But thank you all for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed it. It was my personal experience of that season and what it was like to go to that stadium that night and experience that, a game I never experienced like that ever in my life. And if you haven't subbed, please give us a sub. Please show your likes, because that does mean a lot. And there we go. And we've got a hater here. Hassan Abbas, you're a prick, mate. Yeah, always have been and probably always will be, bro. So enjoy. Del Boy, well done, mate. Yeah, mate, honestly, it's you've got to blame yourself for a lot of this, because it's you that kept making me want to do Bleeding Channel. So thank you, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you all again very soon.